You're hearing more and more these days about having a regulated nervous system. There's this quote I see on social media all the time. You can have all the skills you want, the plans, the vision, but if your body is constantly in fight or flight or freeze mode, you're going to struggle to focus, you're going to struggle to trust yourself, and you're definitely not going to be able to follow through. A lot of the time, it's not that you're incapable of doing amazing things or being an amazing partner or having amazing ideas. It's that you have a dysregulated nervous system, and therefore you're constantly being pulled away from what's truly important and toward things and people and experiences that end up being time wasters and energy drains. Now, obviously, this is not what anybody wants. Nobody wants to get in their own way and live life on hard mode. The good news is that it's never been easier to regulate your nervous system. We have more tools than ever to get centered, which is really a byproduct of restoring balance to your nervous system. And in today's episode, I'm going to go over 3 simple, painless tools that you can use to start the process of restoring balance to your nervous system. The first 2 tools are quick resets that you can do in the moment. And the last one is more of a foundational practice that helps to solidify balance for the long term so you become less and less reliant on those first 2 tools. But first, let's talk about what we mean when we say dysregulated nervous system and how it gets out of whack. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Watkins. I'm a longtime wellness practitioner, and I started this channel to help other people who identify as spiritual to understand how to view seemingly non-spiritual life situations that sometimes trip us up through a spiritual lens, or what I often refer to as the 30,000-foot view. So if you resonate with this kind of content, make sure you like and comment and subscribe to this channel. For those of you who drive, you may recall driving a car without a lot of wear and tear on it. Maybe it was a newer car or just hadn't been driven that much. And when you first started driving that car, it drove as expected. There were no issues with starting the car or with steering or with braking or turning or accelerating. But as the car starts to get more wear and tear over the years, maybe you started to notice little oddities like the steering wheel is no longer aligned and you try to go straight, but the car veers slightly to the right. So you have to adjust for that. Or there's screeching when you brake and it takes longer for the car to come to a full stop. Or the car doesn't accelerate as easily as it used to, and you have to press into the gas a little bit more in order to get the car to accelerate. Or you have to turn with both hands instead of just using one hand. In other words, wear and tear on the car is accelerated whenever there's been neglect and a lack of maintenance work done on the car in order to keep it in tip-top shape. And similarly, when it comes to our body, which we can also refer to as our nervous system, when we are exposed to a lot of wear and tear as a result of trauma and stress and a lifetime of overreactions, in addition to not exercising properly, not eating as clean as we could have, and ingesting all kinds of substances in the name of fun and relaxation and not sleeping too well and being overstimulated on caffeine, we start to get the physical version of misalignment where our bodies become hard to stop and start or to shut off. We have difficulty accelerating toward our goals. We're tired, even though we've been technically lying horizontal for 7 hours. And life in the body just starts to feel clunkier and clunkier over the years. And those are symptoms of a dysregulated nervous system. In other words, our nervous system has adapted to the dysfunction in the same way that that car did. But the problem is that it's not sustainable over the long term. If it goes unchecked, this is just the beginning of more severe dysfunction over the next several years or decades. And fortunately, there are some practices that we can employ to restore balance to the nervous system. Now, these are not practices that correct major dysfunctions in the body. If that's what you're experiencing, you probably are going to have to seek professional help for that. But you can put these practices in the category of getting an oil change for your car, right? If there's a problem with your carburetor, you're going to need more than just an oil change. But if you get regular oil changes, the technician may be able to see early warning signs that there could be issues with the carburetor down the line, and they could advise you to get someone to fix it. And likewise, when you employ these tools for restoring balance to the nervous system, you'll be able to detect early warning signs from your body's intuition that there are other systems in your body that may need a little bit of extra care before they become major issues. All right, so let's get into it. The first tool for restoring balance in the nervous system is your breath. So breathwork has become increasingly popular in our society for a very good reason. It's the quickest way to tell your body, hey, we're safe. And whenever you give yourself a chance to slow and deepen your breathing, you're literally sending a message to your nervous system that it is okay to relax. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, one of my favorite techniques to use is called box breathing. Okay, here's how box breathing works. You're going to inhale through your nose for a count of 4. So like this. Then you're going to hold your breath for a count of 4. And then you're going to exhale through your nose for a count of 4. Then you're going to hold your breath out for a final count of 4. And then start over. Inhale, count of 4. Then you're going to hold it. And then you're going to exhale for a count of 4. And then you're going to hold it. And you can kind of think of it as drawing a box. So inhale, hold, exhale, hold. If you do a few rounds of the box breathing, you're going to notice how quickly your heart rate starts to settle, how your mind can actually quiet, and how you can start to feel like you're back in the driver's seat again. And the breath is powerful because it's the only system in the body that's both automatic and controllable. That means it's your built-in access point to your nervous system. And you can use it anytime, anywhere, before a meeting, after an argument, while you may be getting frustrated in traffic, or any other situation that may be causing you to feel a little bit off. And it only takes a couple of minutes to shift your entire state back in the direction of balance. Okay, the second tool is also something that's available to most people, which is walking. Walking might sound very simplistic, but that's the beauty of it. It's one of the oldest and most effective ways to regulate your nervous system, because when you walk, you're doing bilateral movement, which means both your left and right sides of the body are rhythmically alternating. And that kind of cross-body motion actually helps to integrate the two hemispheres of the brain, which naturally balances your energy and discharges excess stress hormones like cortisol. On top of that, walking helps with digestion, with circulation, with creativity, as well as with sleep quality. It literally changes your brain chemistry in the moment, and research even shows that a 10-minute stroll can lower anxiety and boost serotonin levels, which are the hormones that are responsible for feeling happier. But you don't have to think about walking as an exercise. I want you to think of it just as a mindfulness practice. And when you walk without your phone, and especially if you can find a little place in nature, maybe a park, you give your mind space to process emotions that might otherwise make you feel stuck. Ideas come, solutions emerge, and you start to feel a bit lighter. So if you ever find yourself spiraling or mentally very cluttered, just go outside and just take a short stroll, even if it's just around the block. And if you can, notice your footsteps, maybe notice your breath, bring a little bit of mindfulness into it. And that rhythmic connection between your body and your breath can do more for your nervous system than an hour of sitting on your phone, overthinking, waiting for somebody to text you back, or vegging out with television. Okay, and number 3, finally, we have my favorite tool, which is basically stillness, also known as meditation. Now, I want to be honest, meditation doesn't always feel as immediately satisfying as the box breath or the walking, because if you've had a lot of stress in your life and then you start a daily meditation practice, many times the thoughts and the emotions and the sensations that were related to the past trauma or stress that you've experienced can come up during the practice itself and leave you wondering why your mind is not getting quieter. But the reason why that's happening is your body is actually purging the stress, and it sometimes causes your mind to re-experience some of the things that you are releasing. So from a broad perspective, it's actually a really good thing that you're having these experiences. But in the moment, I admit it can feel a bit challenging. So then you may be asking yourself, well, why are you recommending meditation as a way of regulating the nervous system if it doesn't give me that immediate boost like walking or like the box breathing? And it's because the way you gauge progress with meditation is not about what happens in the practice itself, but how you feel after the practice, and particularly after doing it for months or years, because you'll start to notice that you're becoming more present and you're becoming more adaptable And this actually prevents you from being triggered by future stress. And so in effect, it caps the stress that you have now, and it puts you in a better position to start releasing more than you're bringing in on a daily basis. So as a result of your daily meditation practice, going back to the car analogy, your tires will start to become more aligned over the months and years. The brakes will start to work better. The accelerator starts to work better, and all of the other functions begin to come back into balance. And you'll shift from feeling like you've been living life on hard mode to living life on easy mode, even though you may not be wealthy yet, even though you may not have the perfect job yet, or you may not have whatever it is that you think you want or need yet. But you've got your meditation practice, which allows you to feel present wherever you are and with whatever you have. And that is going to position you to spot more opportunities for growth and for collaboration, and to be more magnetic and attractive to other people who may want to collaborate with you. So that's why I like to see meditation as the big joker of nervous system regulation, because while the breathing and the walking are indeed useful, they're not going to lead to sustainable change in your nervous system without addressing the stress that's inside. And by the way, I do have a lot of free resources for bringing more joy into your meditation practice. I've got a book called Bliss More: How to Succeed in Meditation Without Really Trying, which you can listen to for free on Spotify if you have a Spotify account that allows you to access audiobooks. There's also some useful summaries of that book here on YouTube. I have a free 30-day inner work kickstart, which has a meditation component, and I'll put a link to that below, or you can click this QR code here. And for those of you who want the most comprehensive instruction, I lead an in-person meditation workshop in Mexico City. There are a couple workshops coming up very soon. So if you would like to have comprehensive instruction directly with me, you can come down to Mexico City and we can work together in person. And here's a QR code for the meditation training. And otherwise, I highly recommend doing whatever practice you can do on a regular basis. So if your current meditation practice feels too difficult for you to make the time to do it on a regular basis, then that's probably not the right practice for you. If you're curious about my perspective and approach on the practice, I have this video on what happens after you meditate 10,000 times. And there's another video on the truth about inner work. So check those out and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any more of these spiritual perspective episodes. And otherwise, I will see you in the next one.